Hello there, I'm Reverend Nhien, founder of Evolving Enneagram and the author of The Enneagram of the Soul, a 40-day spiritual companion for the 9 types. If you've been seeking a compassion-based, contemplative approach to Enneagram-informed transformation, you are certainly in the right place. This is where contemplation meets the Enneagram. We are now in week 6 of a 12-week Sunday talk series based on the theme 9 Points of Light. We're currently exploring the heart center of the Enneagram, which includes types 2, 3, and 4. Last week, we explored the topic Enneagram 2, cherishing love and connection. Today's focus is on Enneagram 3, treasuring the pearl of personhood. And yes, I did wear my pearls today, which were a gift from my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thank you. When I graduated college, actually, so the pearls are really special to me. And of course, as many of you already know, I identify as a type 3. So today's extra personal to me. I'll take today's talk in 2 parts. And by the way, it's going to be heavy on the work of Hamid Ali today. I am always sourcing from his work, but today in particular. And so today, the talk will be broken down into the pearl of personhood, where we're looking at the essence quality at point 3, which has been referred to as the essence quality of essential personhood, sometimes referred to as the essence quality known as value. So I'll explore that a bit and look at how the type 3 is embodies a mimicry of that. And then in part 2, we will do our usual in terms of looking at a contemplative journey to sense into, in this case, how the absolute oneness or spirit lives individually as each and every one of us. Right? So let's begin. Part 1, the pearl of personhood at point 3. I invite you to take a moment now, keeping your eyes open, to just look around the room you're in, or if you're outside, just to take a look around. And keeping your eyes open here, I invite you to notice what it is like to be you right now. So to be clear, I'm not asking, do you like being you, or do you dislike being you? But what is it like to be you in this moment? To see the colors that you are seeing, or the images or impressions, or the movement that you are seeing. Do you start going into story or history if your eyes land on a particular image, like a photo or a tree? Or do you start planning ideas for the future? Are you anticipating what on earth is Nhien leading us into right now? You might notice your breath now, how it moves in you, and how your body, your energetic field, moves as it interacts with the breath. What is it like to be you right now? Do you feel peaceful or impatient? See if you can drop into your body and notice. I invite you to stay with this throughout today's talk. Because right here and right now, and again, right here and right now in this new moment, you are experiencing a point of reality distinct from any other. And one that I think can only be fully experienced through you in this moment, in this unique moment, right? in you, through you, and as you. To me, this is like wondrous. In the famous words of the French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having, this human experience of being in time and space and having texture and weight and thoughts and feelings and sensations, but each unique through you, through your lens. In writing about personal essence, which is the essence quality at point 3 on the Enneagram, Hamid Ali says, the development of consciousness has to do with living in this life from the perspective of the absolute. The personal essence, the pearl beyond price, has to do with being a human and still being the absolute. If you're just the absolute, you're not a human being. But if you live in this world, you have a physical body and a mind, you have work and relationships. You need the personal essence in order to be able to live personally as a human being and still be the absolute. So the development of the personal aspect has to do with the metabolism of the absolute into the personal essence. Again, what we're calling here the pearl, the pearl. Hamid Ali goes on to say, and this is in his book, Diamond Heart, Book 5, on page 145, integrating the person into the absolute is more difficult than experiencing the absolute. Integration requires that you deal with and metabolize your unconscious and your personal history. You have to really let all of the unconscious come out to face all of your specific issues and areas of conflict and ignorance. Many traditions don't care about integration, but strive only to reach the absolute. They don't care about the personal life. The point for them is to know the absolute and leave. In other traditions and in our work, he's talking about the diamond approach, but I'm also talking about evolving Enneagram's work. In other traditions and in our work, the point is to know the absolute and live in the world as an expression of it. So how can you live a human life from the perspective of absence? That is the realm of development, change, and transformation with consciousness. Whoa. So here we see that the journey that we're on in evolving Enneagram for everyone, irrespective of your core type, is this journey of becoming more fully ourselves, right? And it's paradoxical in that in the being, in cultivating presence, we actually enter more fully into this dynamic developmental process. So it's not like, I think when we're newer to the Enneagram, a lot of us will hear about how the type 3 is a human doing versus a human being. And so really emphasize like this polarizing idea around being versus doing. And I want to offer a perspective that is not so dualistic here, but that doing is that the activity of life flowing from this beingness, flowing from our like essential and spiritual nature, flowing from our integration with quote spirit or the absolute, that this is an ongoing dynamic process as is life. And yet the paradox is by stopping the incessant busyness or activity of the three and dropping into like physical just being, we support that presencing of our essence and the emergence of our essence happening, right? So at point 3 on the Enneagram, we see that within all of us is this essential quality of personhood. But for those of us who, like me, identify with type 3, this question of personhood becomes almost like my life mission, right? Like the quest of our particular incarnation here. And what's interesting is we can even think of the ambition that is usually related to the type 3 as a literal and figurative, symbolic attempt to be somebody, right? You think about the achievements of trying, I want to be somebody in the world. And what's behind that? We're implying that to become somebody is to become somebody of value, of value. And again, like with all of the essence qualities, the idea is we're trying to make value happen, right? We're trying to be self-made here, uh, in a way where we're actually moving further away from the natural essential quality of already being somebody, already having value. And so in this worldly quest for whatever tokens of achievement, I'll call them trophies to just, make it like to synthesize it into one word, these barometers of success, right? In these outer ways, we can think of this inner pearl as the thing that we're really seeking, to be somebody, to be fully human. And these are all like proxies for being somebody. And of course, if you're familiar with the Christian Bible, you might already be thinking when I talk about this pearl, that there's an allusion here to the parable of the pearl of great price. That's in Matthew chapter 13, verses 45 through 46, which says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Would you trade all your worldly achievements for this truth, this spiritual truth? John Lukovich calls this essence quality value, right? And he defines it this way: everyone and everything is inestimably precious in and of itself. And as I shared last week, where point 2 represents the part in us that like legitimately, from something natural and pure in us, seeks to have and express genuine love and connection. The point 3 in us is the part that relates to having a sense of meaning and value and purpose, right? And again, so the type 3 attempts to achieve this. The 3 attempts to become valuable, attempts to be self-made. And the essence quality here tells us all that our worth, our value, this sense of meaning and purpose is already, again, to use a Christian term, is already God-given, or you might just say is inherent or innate. We do not have to earn this worth. Really? So I distinctly recall in my childhood, I was a kid, and it wasn't even unconscious. It was a very conscious belief I had that I did not deserve to simply exist. I had a distinct thought that drove me. Like, it's not given that I'm legitimately in this world. I remember thinking, I have to justify my existence. I have to earn my right to be here. I have to work to be worthy enough of life. Like that drove me from as far back as I can remember. And to realize that this is the deep pain inside the three, to come into that was so powerful for me, to realize that this is just a paradigm and a limiting belief that structures my whole drive in life, and that it's possible that it's not true. It's just like astounding, right? So in my book, The Enneagram of the Soul, I write, as threes begin to wake up, they become more honest with themselves about who they really are and what they truly want. Their outer expression more closely matches their inner state and authentic desires, cultivating more self-acceptance and inner focus, an inward focus. They come to know themselves apart from what they make, achieve, accomplish, or do. Correspondingly, soulful threes become more transparent, especially to themselves, more compassionate, including with themselves, more patient with everyone, and much more able to laugh at life and particularly at themselves. Awakening threes experience a sense of their intrinsic value, which can open from within like a precious pearl. Thus, they feel less of a need to strive to earn a sense of value in the world. Relatedly, they also become better at taking pleasure in life, genuinely appreciating and valuing their relationships and everyday experiences. Centered in their wholeness, threes naturally become more genuinely modest, collaborative, and charitable. The natural byproduct of not needing to be competitive and striving, right? So, notably, as I mentioned before, with this notion that being is not in direct opposition to doing. And in fact, Russ Hudson has described the essence, quality, and gift at point three as functioning with presence. So what's interesting is at point nine, we might recall that there's just like grounded beingness, almost like I am. And the three represents like the particularization of that, which type nines can often resist, which is I am me. I am me. You are somebody. And the idea of being present to this somebody, not as like an object, like there I am, found it once and for all, right? Like that's myself right there, but more that spirit or the absolute, and thus your authentic being is dynamic, right? And so in that, it's something that spontaneously arises when we remove the sensors from it, when we bring presence to what is just actually there, right? And so with that, let us move into part two, a contemplative journey, treasuring the pearl of personhood for all types, as we cultivate greater presence and look at removing obstacles here uh, to being present in the way that we show up in the world, right? Functioning, as Russ Hudson says, with presence. So, treasuring the pearl of personhood may mean that to start, we want to consider our individual types hustle, is what I'll call it, to use a very strong, like, three word. So, in this, as you may recall, I'm a certified somatic Enneagram practitioner, but I don't talk about this as much, I'm also certified in the Awareness to Action program. And so I'm a professional in that Enneagram certification program, which is more focused on business, right? But isn't only. And one thing I really, really love from this work which I'm going to bring forth here in a slightly adapted form, is how Mario Sikora, the founder of that program, characterizes type not based on like you are a type, right? But that each number has a different strategy. It's almost like it's not what you are, but it's what you do, is a little bit more how he characterizes it. And granted, that's fitting. He identifies as an 8. And of course, that resonates with the 3 energy of doing as well. So there's idea that we are all striving to feel something, right? So I'm going to use that framework and apply that here. So to give full credit where it's due. Thank you, Mario. And with that, I want to say that you can consider that all these ways we are striving in our own egoic hustle can serve as a barrier, right? Striving to be this way keeps us from opening to the authentic being that we are, right? And so certain things get locked down, repressed, oppressed, shadowed, because we are not, our idealized self says, nah, that's not me, right? But that's only, again, the personality and not like the soul. So with that, I invite you to just get settled in your seat as I go through each type, starting with the body types. So starting with Enneagram 8. According to the ATA model, 8s strive to feel powerful. And so my question for you, well, a few questions. What in you gets oppressed by the powerful parts of you? And how does the powerful part of you dominate other parts? For example, what parts of you might long for more heartful connection, but you resist this for fear it will make you too soft or dependent, or for fear you'll be hurt or betrayed? Enneagram 9. In the ATA model, 9s strive to feel peaceful. Another way of describing it is striving to feel undisturbed. So the question I have for you is, how does your striving to feel peaceful keep you from showing up with all of your power and your gifts? For example, how might you be repressing your anger and your life force? Or how might you be passively relying on others to make decisions, to take action, or even speak up on your behalf, such that you no longer feel in charge of your own life? Enneagram 1. In the ATA model, 1s strive to feel perfect. So my question for you is, how does your striving to feel perfect cause you to live under the tyranny of an inner critic that binds you to a life of over responsibility and endless self-critique? For example, how might the compulsion to follow the rules and do the right thing censor any sense of natural wonder, spontaneity, creativity, or playfulness? And now for the heart types, Enneagram 2. In the ATA model, 2 strive to feel connected. So how does your striving to feel connected cause you to abandon any personal goals, feelings, or needs that might cause disconnection? For example, how might the compulsion to be pleasing or helpful to your special somebodies cause you to end up becoming disconnected from your innate lovability and preciousness, and thus emotionally dependent on the reactions of your significant others? Enneagram 3. In the ATA model, 3s strive to feel outstanding. So my question for you 3s, How does your striving to feel outstanding cause you to resist being unproductive or resist being or striving to be a winner in whatever environment you are in? Remember, in the spiritual realm, that can look very different. For example, how might the compulsion to feel outstanding result in burnout, inner emptiness, and playing roles rather than being in authentic relationships, even with loved ones, those closest to you? Enneagram 4. In the ATA model, 4s strive to feel unique. So my question for you is, how does your striving to feel unique cause you to gravitate toward what only seems elegant or rarefied or unusual, while rejecting real parts of yourself that you see or deem as common? And what would happen if you spent more time and energy focusing on what you share in common with others? I don't know. Moving into head types. From the ATA model, Enneagram 5s strive to feel detached. So my question is, how does your striving to feel detached cause you to live like a disembodied head, focusing on ideas or data gathering while staying emotionally detached from life or from loved ones? And I wonder, what parts of you long for more embodied engagement or heartfelt connection? What would it be like to brave letting down the drawbridge to your inner castle? Right? Ooh. Enneagram 6. From the ATA model, 6s strive to feel secure. And so my question is, how does your striving to feel secure result in your finding security in being a responsible team player, part of something bigger than yourself, such as a group, cause, or tradition, and focusing on collaboration and cohesion at the expense of perhaps taking risks or finding your own way? And so what might you be willing to risk to be more authentically and magnificently you? And finally, Enneagram 7. According to the ATA model, 7s strive to feel excited. And so how does your striving to feel excited cause you to be regularly, maybe even a little bit compulsively enthusiastic, optimistic, and curious, while steering clear of anything that feels limiting, negative, or confining? And who or how would you be if you didn't need to always feel stimulated or excited? Maybe this is a chance to find out. Yeah. And so with that, I'm going to invite you now to join me in a brief contemplative practice. So if you've been multitasking at all, I invite you to see if you could just take a few minutes to set down whatever you've been doing and take this opportunity to have a seat, if it's safe to do so where you are, and gently close your eyes. Drop into your body, beginning with your breath, taking a few deep breaths. Giving your system a chance to slow down. Our personality has a momentum and the soul has a different momentum. And so maybe you can practice in alignment with our exploring point 3, practice even breathing just a little bit more slowly than is your habit here. Taking your time with your breath. like you're finding the rhythm of your own soul. So beginning by breathing into your belly now, as we've been doing these past few weeks. And as you breathe into your belly, without trying to make anything happen, simply notice the inner dynamism, the movement that's already happening there. This is happening without you consciously trying to make it happen. And then I invite you to slowly bring your awareness into your heart space, maybe allowing for 50% to stay in your belly, 50% of your attention to move into your heart. And here you might actually notice your hands and shift your palms so that they're facing up, allowing your hands to be relaxed. And as you keep this attention on your heart, I invite you to bring attention to the sensation that is in the center of your chest. Remember how we explored the 9.9 at the lower dantian? It's almost like this center of the chest is above it. The center of the belly, the center of the chest. Take a few moments on your own, simply being present, palms facing up to the center of the belly and the center of the chest. I love how Russ Hudson once described this as staying with the center of the chest as if we're sitting on the beach waiting for the sun to rise. We are a witness to our own heart. Let's spend a few extra moments here. It's so important. And see if you can bring forth that sense of treasuring this center, this heart center. And now I invite you to notice how your hands are connected to the heart, almost like wings from the core of that heart center. You can wiggle a few fingers maybe and notice how the doing of your hands are connected to your heart, your personhood. Can you move your fingers, wiggle your fingers according to the rhythm of your own heart and soul? You might even affirm as you're moving your fingers at the pace or with the rhythm of your heart here. You might affirm, I am me. I am being me in the world. And allowing your attention to be split once again so that a third is in the belly, a third is in the heart area, and a third approximately is in the head center. Notice how there can be in this head center a crispness, a readiness. The three is readiness for action. But not just any action. As me. Action that is true to my own being. And I'll close with some words, again from Hamid Ali. He writes in Diamond Heart Book 3, page 66, the pearl beyond price, the incomparable pearl. The personal aspect of essence is actually the true essential personality. It is the person. It is experienced as oneself. When the individual finally perceives it, the contented expression often is, but this is me. The sense is of oneself as a precious being. There is then a fullness, a completeness, and a contentment. It is as if the individual feels full and complete, realized, nothing is lacking, no more search, no desire or wanting anything else. The person feels, now I have myself. I am a complete individual. I am full. I am fullness. I am complete. I want nothing else. In that spirit, namaste. See you next week. The development of consciousness has to do with living in this life from the perspective of the absolute. The personal essence, the pearl beyond price, has to do with being a human and still being the absolute. If you're just the absolute, you're not a human being. But if you live in this world, you have a physical body and a mind, you have work and relationships. You need the personal essence in order to be able to live personally as a human being and still be the absolute. So the development of the personal aspect has to do with the metabolism of the absolute into the personal essence. Again, what we're calling here, the pearl, the pearl.